On the 27th of October 2018, I attended the Jordan Peterson event at the King's Theatre in Glasgow. It was a great night. He talked very well about how to sort out your life basically, and how to the 12 Rules of Life tour, so just talking about the book and how it's helped people and how he's happy to be in the position he's in. And then there was a Q&A, and at the very end of the event it took a sombre turn when he started talking about British values and how they've been subverted by the far left effectively, and how free speech is being silenced, how the comedy industry is not what it used to be due to this fact because people are too frightened into saying things, so they self-censor for fear of being called racist or sexist or some form of bigot. And I'm quite sad to say he was right. It is changing in Britain. Like, there are a good few examples of this sort of thing happening now, and it's not just comedy, it's just in general life. For example, Count Dankula, who I'm sure most of you know, he posted a video of his pug giving the Nazi salute to annoy his girlfriend. If you watch the video, clearly a joke, clearly, in fact it's stated outright that it's a joke, and that he's not racist, he's just doing it to annoy his girlfriend. Although he was arrested, and eventually after 2 years, which is double the length of the actual Nuremberg trials, but eventually after 2 years he was fined £800, and that's still been left unpaid, and they're appealing it just now. There's also Based Amy, who, in an argument on Twitter, at the end of the argument, told the person she was arguing with to have a gay day. She was visited by the police. She was charged with a hate crime. There's Chelsea Russell, who, after a teenager who lives in Liverpool, 17 years old, who her friend, a boy, was run over by a car and killed. And she posted the rap lyrics from one of his favourite songs on her Instagram, and they contained the N-word. She was charged with a racist hate crime. There are just so many examples of this sort of thing happening now, where people are just arrested for things they've said, or in some cases speaking against Islamic law and Islamic doctrine, that it's just becoming quite scary to watch actually. Like the women in Hyde Park, and the park rules, you're not allowed to pray in Hyde Park, although the Islamic community were given an area that they could pray. And this woman was filming that, told a police officer who was there at the time that they shouldn't be allowed to pray, and it's park rules that they aren't allowed to pray, and he should be enforcing that. They had a laugh about it at the end. There was some back and forth between them, kind of friendly, although he was laughing because he knows he's not enforcing the rules equally. It's a double standard, it's a two-tier system. The next day at 10 to 9 in the morning, she was visited by the police, who gave her a very harsh arrest in my opinion, telling her, you will not resist, you will come with us, all this type of thing. Now that's very scary to me, that you can effectively just question the police about why they're not enforcing the law in the area that they're in, that they can see being broken, and you can be visited and arrested. Unfortunately, I'm not sure what happened to her at the end of that. Although, in my opinion, any of these, even if you view these people as extremists or genuine hate speech or anything like that, I don't think they were in these cases. But if you genuinely view them as hate speech and extremists and racists and bigots, wouldn't you want to debate against them rather than just silencing them? Because if you silence them, you draw attention to them, and people start wondering, why have they been silenced? What is it about them that people don't want to hear? And they become interested and they go away and watch. I would much rather it was debated in the public space, and the better ideas will always win out. I have a lot more faith in the general public than the progressives or the government seem to think. I think that if a Nazi is debated by someone who is able to prove them wrong, and they are wrong, if someone debates them who has the facts and who has the arguments against them, they'll always win out. And it's not going to be the progressives, because they basically have the same ideology with a different group of people. But the Liberals, they could debate against them and win, because the Liberal arguments stand up to scrutiny a lot more than the Nazi arguments. And if you just silence them and don't give them a fair hearing, they'll be pushed underground, and it'll come up in a much more ugly form, and eventually they could even be democratically elected if the problems they're bringing up aren't addressed. And it could bubble over into violence effectively, and I'd rather have a peaceful society where there are a tiny number of like fringe extremist racists than a violent society that no one knows why the violence is being caused because they're not allowed to speak. Anyway, that was just some of my thoughts on free speech. Thanks for watching. Give me some